Just three ordinary people from the hills of eastern Kentucky. We don't have all the answers, but we do have all the questions. This is the Just Add Bourbon podcast with Jimmy Don, JD, and Don.
What is going on, everybody? This is the Just Add Bourbon podcast. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr.
And I'm JD Denver.
And Dawn is somewhere. She was here with us a second ago, and she dropped out.
Here she goes.
So, wait a minute. She's here. Introduce yourself, Dawn. Dawn's here. Introduce yourself, Dawn, if you can hear us.
Oh, hey!
Yeah, and it's another beautiful Sunday evening here in the hills of East. Yeah, we can hear you. It's another beautiful Sunday evening here in the hills of eastern Kentucky. I think we got a good show on tap for you guys. It is Daylight Savings Time Day. The time rolled back, or I guess we fell back an hour last night. So it's 6 o'clock now, so it would be 7. You know, you always kind of look at that. We'd already be done with the show, right, under normal time. So I wanted to ask you guys, just to kind of start the show, like, what your opinions are on Daylight Savings Time. JD, let's start with you. Like, do you have an opinion?
Like, man, I like it because I like being out in the day. I like to get the most out of my day. Like, I like to be up when the sun's up, be out and about. I know a lot of people don't like it. I mean, I'm tired. I'm 42, so I'm tired anyway. That hour ain't gonna affect me that much. Although, like, the first couple of weeks, it really, like, you feel it for sure. Don't you feel it?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the long run, I like Daylight Savings Time. I like, businesses going on during the middle of the day while the sun's shining. That's where I want to be out and be a part of. And I like it, but I'm still just tired.
What about you, Don?
Yeah. I'm fine with it. Now, I prefer this one because it gives me another hour. Spring forward is always hard, but it doesn't really bother me at all. I don't really have a major opinion on it.
The only thing I don't like, I'm like, I like it myself because when I get up in the morning, it's light, or the light's coming up, or, the sun's starting to rise, or I can't talk today. Sun's starting to come up, but the only thing I don't like about it is every night when I come home, it's dark. Like, it's completely dark. Yeah, and I don't like that necessarily about it because I don't get home most times, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, most days. And so it's just completely pitch dark by the time I get home. And so that part I don't really like about it. I wonder what because a lot of people are like, why do we even do this? I mean, I don't know why anybody even cares.
I think people like to bitch, bro. That's what I found out in my life, that people just like to bitch.
I think you're probably right, JD.
You can't satisfy, you wouldn't be able to satisfy everybody.
Yeah, no, and one thing before, I don't normally do this. I try to remember to do this every week, but if you're watching us right now, share this. Share the podcast right now. Take just a second, share it out there so as many people out there in the ether can find us and come and check out our podcast. We'd sure appreciate it. And JD, I want to start this week with our high school football team. We won the first round of the districts this week, a very, very convincing win against Shelby Valley, who I thought played really dirty, by the way.
And if you're classless clowns, bro.
Oh my goodness! If you're from Shelby Valley, I'm sorry that I'm getting ready to say this, but it was ridiculous. I mean, it was ridiculous. But JD, talk a little bit about what this win means, how long it's been. Since we've won in a district game, and then talk about next weekend or this coming Friday.
So the last time we hosted a playoff game at the Rock, and the last time we won a home playoff game or won a playoff game was 2009.
Wow.
So these kids, stepped up and got the ball rolling again. It's been a long time coming, man. Spent a lot of hours watching film. Spent a lot of hours on the field, a lot of hours in the weight room to get this win. Mm-hmm. It's a program-changing thing, man. To get a playoff win first round, get somebody like Shelby Valley coming in, and they beat our hind ends last couple of years, beat us pretty good. But yeah, man, I just gotta say they're a classless bunch. Everybody in our district has a problem with those guys. West Carter don't like them, Bath County don't like them. And it's not everybody else, man. You know what I mean? Like, if everybody don't like you, it's you,
right?
And so that's kind of how that goes. But
yeah. Who's the common denominator?
Right. And I feel like sometimes when I say that, I'm like, man, nobody likes me.
Well, we had a little scuffle out on the field. I mean, like I thought for a second
My
it was
boy
going to
Ryan,
get.
what about my boy Ryan?
No, he went out there. He wasn't going to take no guff, man. I said, and then really by the end of the game, they made the Shelby Valley people go out the opposite end of where we were going out.
Yeah.
You know,
And we ended up not shaking hands either, man, because we just thought that it was going to be something explosive happen, and there was a reason for. We don't want to lose kids, to, the next week. Next week we're going to West Carter.
Yeah.
Man, they're a good football team, well coached. The best coached team in the district, period, bar none. Those guys really know what they're doing. They really work well with those kids. They really have them ready for every game, every situation. And they always have a new wrinkle, and they're going to be hard to beat come Friday. But hopefully the coaching staff gets together a good game plan, which I know they will. And hopefully we go down there and take care of business, man, and get the playoff win number 2 since 2009.
And we need our community to come out. If you're watching this, we need our community to come support this team because we lead the state in rushing.
It makes a big difference. Like people, I think, don't understand how a crowd can affect a ball game. And it's important to these kids, man. They put a lot of time and dedication to it. Yeah, so get out there and cheer these kids on. It's a big deal.
Yeah, no, I want everybody in our community to go down. I know we'll probably end up going because I'd say they'll take the cheerleaders since it's the playoffs. And we'll be going down to the game. Dawn, you and Todd should come home and go to the game with us. We'll all get down there and have a big time, go eat dinner and have fun. But no, I want the community to come out and support these kids. I don't know if people realize this, but our high school football team leads the state in rushing. And we're like number 7 in the nation in rushing offense. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's on. Like that just don't happen. You know what I mean?
That's exciting.
So, that's a big time deal. So yeah, it's exciting for community, exciting for the kids, and I hope we have a good crowd Friday night because it's going to take. Yeah. We need a good crowd. We need a good game plan. We need the kids feeling good. It's going to take that, man. It's going to take that kind of commitment to beat West Carter. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no. So everybody, if you're watching this, tell everybody, spread the word. Go to West Carter next Friday night, and let's root on our Cardinals to win the district championship and head to the regions. We've got a bunch of good kids on this team. They deserve our support, and we should go support them. All right, so, Don, I wanted to check on you today because I know you're down there in godless country. Our Wildcats, it got beat last night by the Tennessee Volunteers. We got beat by the Volunteers last night. It was a great football game. Like as far as like an exciting game, it was that. Neither defense could stop the other offense. I mean, we racked up like 600 and some total yards, controlled the ball for like 49 minutes of the game, and got beat. Right. That's like unheard of. And then the classless Tennessee Volunteers, and still lost. And then the classless Tennessee Volunteers, their players were taunting us because we sat behind the visitors' bench. We're taunting the fans at the end of the game, and they went out to the UK at the middle of the game. And I want to come back to that because I want to know what you guys think about that. But they came back out and planted their flag essentially on the UK in the middle of the field. But, Dawn, how are you this morning?
Good. We're good. My phone blew up. My phone always blows up. Most of my UT friends that are on my Facebook and stuff, they like DM'd me versus posting things on my timeline. So I thought that was pretty good. It's like when Tennessee and Kentucky play for us because our home is here too. It's like watching that family member. Everybody has a family member that you love because they're your family. But at the same time, you don't hang out with them much and you don't really like them. So that's kind of how I view that's kind of how I view Kentucky and Tennessee. Like Kentucky's going to be like always going to be, my team because I'm a Kentucky girl. But when Tennessee rolls up, I'm kind of soft on them too because they're like my crazy, distant cousin or something. So it's a tough. Yes, they're like cousin Eddie. You love to see him come around every now and then because he's crazy and throws garbage and golf balls and stuff. But at the same time, you don't want him to beat up the whole family. So it's tough when they play each other. But ultimately, I'm a big blue girl. Everybody was good to me. But I think the reason why they're good to me, Jimmy Dawn, is I really do work as hard as I can to not point out that their program is riddled with scandal as much as they are a scandalous program, and I could always bat them down with that, but I try not to. I know I just said it on the podcast, But when it comes to me and my friends, we usually just talk about our records. I have to concede. We've never really threatened them with football, but times have changed. We're not an easy win now. We're not like Vanderbilt, Kentucky anymore.
It's so weird, Jimmy Don. Before you go, like to feel so disappointed to lose to Tennessee.
I know.
Like used to, it was like again, it's like, we're going to go to
Knoxville. We're going to get beat.
Like I was so disappointed that we lost that game last night.
I was too. I was
credit to Mark Stoops for what he's been able to do.
That's a fact, man. And we're going to end up probably 9-3 on the year. And Dawn said that she tries as hard as she can not to throw that stuff up. I try as hard as I can to throw it in her face.
You can throw it, yeah.
Because
that's right.
Well, I actually was talking to a guy in the concession stand line last night, and it was funny. He was really nice. He was a Tennessee fan. He was a really nice guy. And we were chatting it up, and he said, yeah, it's kind of like a friendly rivalry. And I was like, what? I said, dude, we hate you all. I despise that orange that you have on right now. I said, you seem like a cool cat. I said, but I despise everything about your program. Like, I hate you worse than I hate Louisville. And I hate Louisville pretty bad, and I hate Tennessee. And it really was. It was disappointing because our defense just didn't show up. And it was weird because Wells and I were talking, and we were like, man, the crowd seems kind of dead. And I said, well, it's because Tennessee's only had the ball on defense like 12 minutes the whole game. They just scored so fast that the crowd didn't have time to really get into it. They took us completely out of the game. It was crazy.
I don't know what the deal was, man. We just kept blowing coverage after coverage. I mean, their wide receivers were running free everywhere.
Yep.
They definitely play a fast ball, but we have it in our head. Just like JD said, we have it in our head that we're going to get beat. That's got to change because let me tell you, Tennessee has it in their head. They told it all week long down here. Every radio station, everything that you could possibly see on social media said, we're going to Lexington. We're getting the dub. They believed it let me tell you, if that fan base could win national championships on faith and delusion alone, they'd win it every year. Every year, okay? But they did. They said, we're going to go up there and we're going to restore the pecking order. So, but remember, Kentucky beat them by 30 points last year?
This year was
only a 3-point loss, and it's their signature win. So if you're not worried about Kentucky, and if we're such bottom of the barrel team, then why are we, lowly Kentucky, your one and only signature win on the season?
Yeah, no, it's great. So I want to ask you, it's a great point. But I want to ask you guys, the Tennessee team or some of the players came out and basically danced on the UK in the middle of the field. Now, there's been some outrage amongst the fan base about this, and I'll tell you how I feel first. If you don't want them to do that, beat them. Is it classless? Yes. But if you don't want them to do it, then you best beat them. And it is what it is. So, what do you think, Don? Do you think that's classless, or how do you feel about another team going out in the middle of the field and doing something like that?
I think it is classless. It's not surprising with Tennessee. You got to remember, this is a fan base that we got to see. We got to see an example of Tennessee, and we got to see an example of Kentucky. Last night, we watched Kentucky's quarterback get a clear face mask. Not one fan threw garbage, not nobody threw a golf ball, not nobody threw anything, got their own cheerleaders and everything else and caused all this chaos. Nobody did that. Kentucky fans didn't do that. Tennessee fans have no problem doing that. And when they do, that does to their teammates. Their teammates might as well act just as crazy, or their team might as well act just as crazy, right? I'm good with banter and taunting each other. I think that's fun and gets people competitive. But when you're talking about two states that are basically twins and full of hillbillies and rednecks, if we keep it up, before you know it, we're going to have lots of problems on the field and off the field. Just like Martin County and Shelby Valley, you're going to have to start sending people opposite directions. And I don't want to see that between two states that I adore.
Yeah, so it was a classless move. There was just no way around that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I get what you're saying, Jimmy Don. If you don't want them doing that, then you beat them. But did we do that at Tennessee last year?
No.
So I guess what's your definition of class? My definition of class is, if you learn, let's go back in. Shelby Valley.
Can't hear you, dude. I think you turned your mic off.
We're having internet problems tonight.
All kinds of technical issues this evening.
Yeah.
No. Well, I heard you a little bit. Check your volume.
But when you get back to talking about, the classless move, you know what, Jimmy Dawn, you know who I am. So in my mind, I want to reciprocate. I want to do the same thing. But I'm trying to be an adult, and I'm trying to be a good mom and a good citizen, a good steward, and not do that. But if Kentucky is so bottom of the barrel, then why are you so excited to where you run in and then you come back and do that? I don't understand. You keep telling us that we're your ugly, stepsister, but yet you freak out when you beat us and act like you just won the Natty. Not really getting it.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm with you. JD, you want a mic test? No. Check on your just check on your StreamYard and see if your mic changed to something other than what you normally use. Otherwise, no, I do agree, Don. Like I said, if you don't want them to do it, beat them. Baker Mayfield did it on Ohio State's field. And it is part of what I think makes college athletics great is that rivalry. Is being able to go at it like that. You want to try again, JD?
I'm back.
There you are. He's here.
So I want to take it back to we were talking about Martin County and Shelby Valley. The last 2 years we went to Shelby Valley for the home play for the first round, the first round of the playoffs the last 2 years, and we got beat. And you know what we did? We handled ourselves with class, and we didn't try to start fights. We didn't do chippy shots. We didn't punch people in the balls. We didn't put a finger in their chocolate starfish. We didn't do none of that stuff. And when the game was over, we lined up, we shook hands, and we went to the house. They didn't have to go, you go this gate, you go that gate. Right. But when classless people, no matter what position we're in, they're going to show their true colors a lot of times. If you don't know how to win, Tennessee ain't beat Kentucky. It's been a couple of years. It's been a minute. And so, right. I understand they was happy to beat us, but you can be class, you can have class and lose, or you can have class and win. Right. But
why are you that excited? Seriously, why are they that excited? They're supposed to come up and it's supposed to be an easy win, but you had to work really hard. But it's supposed
to be like, there should be a maturation of your integrity, right? Like if you win gracefully, and you should be able to lose gracefully. If you should be, and you win, you should be able to shake hands and get on the bus. If you lose, you'll be able to shake hands and get on the bus. But some people ain't built that way, man. The programmers ain't built that way. And it's sad. Now, Tennessee, they've been through some rough years, so I'm not hitting on too hard because it was a big win for them. This is the first ranked opponent they beat in a minute.
Yeah.
But, just do better. Be better.
Yeah, no, and I think Heupel's got them going there. He's the guy that was at Missouri when they were doing that offense when Missouri smoked us. They've got a legit coach.
They run more plays than anybody in the nation. They snap the ball faster than anybody in the nation. And
their quarterback Hooker's a good kid too.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback. Virginia Tech transfer. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's stay on the sports.
It's fun,
Let's stay on the sports theme and talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers came out this week, Don, and I guess essentially he lied about being vaccinated. Talk to us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, as far as I know, so Aaron Rodgers, isn't he the MVP quarterback or, for Green Bay Packers, a top tier athlete? I don't know if he just point blank said that he was vaccinated or if he said that he had protection against the virus. I'm not for sure what he said there, but either way, the implication was that he was vaccinated. Turns out he is not. He came down with COVID, tested positive, and then took it a step further and is treating with ivermectin and, the Joe Rogan plan. He is getting drug across the coals. But what I like about him, he wasn't even on my radar, boys. Y'all know I don't watch NFL. But this story has gotten my attention because individuals need to be able to have a right. And they need to be able to have choice. Y'all know I believe that. Vaccinated people spread. Aaron Rodgers said he wore his mask. He did everything that he could as far as, trying to control the COVID. But when it came to vaccinating, I guess he stopped short. He's not the only athlete. We've got Irving, is that his name, on the NBA? We've got all these people who make money on their bodies that are pushing us back. He realizes that the left, the woke mob is what he called them, is going to come after him. And he also acknowledged that the extreme right who want the ones that don't understand the difference between horse dewormer and human grade ivermectin are going to champion him. So to me, he seems like he has a very libertarian, independent mindset. I'm going to take care of my body the way that I see fit. The government, the NFL, whoever doesn't get a say. I can appreciate that. But, I don't know if they're going to be able to cancel him. He's losing some sponsors. But now you've seen the federal appeals court. You guys saw that they issued a stay order. There's going to be some stuff going on with this vaccine mandate stuff. So we're going to see if people are going to get a choice or not on it. But, Aaron, and I guess he dates a true blue hippie. Like she eats clay and drinks river water and dances on rocks and stuff like that. And they're kind of acting like she has influenced him. And I'm sure she probably has. But he said he felt fine and that he wanted to play today, and that he made a good point. He said, if I had the flu, if I tested positive for the flu and I felt fine, you guys would let me play. But because I've got COVID, I feel fine. You're not going to let me play. But, you have to follow rules, and it's up to him and the NFL on what they're going to do. What do you think, JD?
So, so the point about him, if he had a flu, he would be allowed to play. The flu hasn't killed 700,000 people in the last 2 years, or any 2 years that I know of. I just don't like, man. I understand. Like, I actually respect his position. Like, if you don't want to get vaccinated, then whatever. That's cool on you. But I don't respect him lying about it.
Yeah.
And saying I got vaccinated and I didn't. Like, that's.
Well, he didn't come out and say that he got vaccinated. There was some kind of wording that he used that led these reporters to believe that he had been.
Believe that he was.
That's why he probably did that purposely, though. He's
I'm sure. Guy.
Yeah. Cal Berkeley, like, he's not stupid. So. So I don't respect that. I think Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, an amazing quarterback, whatever. League MVP, well deserved. Mm-hmm. But why lie, man? Just be who you are. Like, and now you are doing it. You know what I'm saying? Now you're standing up for what you believe. So why didn't you do it 3 months ago? You know what I mean? I just don't understand that.
I don't know. I think there's some hesitation in a lot of cases for people to. Like, you almost feel like you got the scarlet letter if you're not vaccinated. You've been made to feel that way. And he was just like, well, I can just say this. He used a word, he had treated himself somehow, and he used a word so that he just wouldn't get the woke mob after him early on, and thought, well, if something happens, then fine, I'll deal with it then. I just don't want to deal with it now. And I think that's part, because really, if you're not vaccinated, it's like you're looked down upon. Like people think you're stupid or something. And I don't know. Dawn, go ahead.
Well, we've talked about that. We've talked about that several times on this podcast. We've talked about people that won't hang out with family members. They won't invite friends to dinner. If you're not vaccinated, you can't be my friend. We've talked about that a million times. I couldn't imagine the pressure that you would have if you were a celebrity choosing to do an alternate route than, getting vaccinated. I'm with you guys. We're in agreement that, he has a right to do what he wants. And with these athletes, these people are in the shape of their life. LeBron James, all of them pushed back. They really hesitated about taking the vaccine because it does come with side effects. I really think that we could fix a lot of this vaccination problem if the government would get out of the way and let us have other options. Novavax, we've talked about a million times. It's a great vaccine. It's over in Australia. It's in Europe. It's got less side effects. Where is it? Why don't we have it? There's a study that came out today that if you take a dose of Regeneron or any of the monoclonal antibodies, that you are basically immune. Like, it does all kinds of powerful stuff for you. Why can't we do that? There's got to be other options. Why is there our only option 1, 2, 3, and now we're talking 4 vaccines?
Just so you're clear, I wouldn't laugh at you. The comment popped up. That's why I started laughing. Just so you know.
Oh, that's okay. You're so sweet, JD. No, that's okay. Yeah. Can you?
No, we don't want to get attacked, Dawn.
I'm not PMSing, boys, so I feel good. Not attacking anything.
Oh, well, thanks for telling us, Dawn. We need to.
Yeah, no, and it was immunized. He said that he was immunized. That was the word that he used. And he had done some kind of treatment, early on or whatever. But I, like I said, I think we're all in agreement here. I don't necessarily see the reason to lie. if you don't want to be vaccinated, stand up for it and go. No need to necessarily lie about it, but it is what it is. I
don't
guess.
think he should lose his position. I think he should
He's
just
not
go
going
right
to.
back.
No, he's too good.
Yeah,
He's not
play
going to.
and and
Here-
see, that's the thing. Just keep going.
Here's the one thing you'll find out about this cancel culture. You only get canceled if you're subpar. Like if you're Tiger Woods didn't get canceled,
Yeah.
he slept with everybody.
Yeah, right.
and
Yeah.
then they tried to cancel him, like for real. Like he
Mhm.
lost a bunch of sponsorships. But guess what? Tiger's Tiger. You know,
That's
be
right.
great. Be great. Everything's gonna take care of itself.
Yeah.
Dave
Just
Chappelle,
like Dave
he ain't getting
Chappelle
canceled. I
and-
promise you. Dave Chappelle ain't getting canceled.
Yeah.
He's the best.
He's the GOAT,
Yeah.
man.
And Aaron Rodgers ain't gonna
Yeah.
get canceled either because he those touchdowns. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. And I mean, as long as you're not doing, illegal, crazy, egregious things, you shouldn't get canceled.
I don't know about.
I
I
mean,
don't know if I agree with that. Like, I feel like Roseanne Barr definitely should have got canceled. Like, I thought what she said was way out of line. Like, but that's
Right. Well, if you
another
that's what I'm
time.
saying. If you consider that egregious, then fine. But
Oh, yeah,
I
right.
don't consider what Aaron Rodgers did. I hang out with people who are not vaccinated. I've got
Oh,
family
sure, yeah,
members that are
yeah,
not vaccinated.
Yeah, of course. I got
You know,
some of my
so-
best friends is not vaccinated.
Well, let's talk a little bit about,
Yeah.
the vaccine mandates. That's kind of rolling in this week, where they're starting to talk a lot about it. I know Clayton was telling me last night that there's companies that, have this 100+ employees that are reaching out to him to actually come to their shops and vaccinate the people.
Right.
There's a whole thing and a whole movement towards that now. They do keep pushing the date back. And so, I mean, we're kind of heading that way with corporate America anyway, or small business. The definition of small business is, generally 100+ employees. So, Don, what do you think? I think you and I agree. JD probably doesn't necessarily on the vaccine mandates. I think JD kind of agrees, like he doesn't. People should have a choice on what they want to do, but feels like it's the right thing to do. So JD, let me kind of start with you. I mean, where are you on the actual vaccine mandates at this point?
Man, like, I think at this point, I'm going to say they're working. That's the only real thing I can say is the numbers are dropping. And it's because of the government took action and made people start, like, as bad as we hate it, that's the fact. Like, you look at the numbers, the COVID numbers are going down because people are having to get vaccinated, whether they want to or not. And, I mean, you can't argue with it. I don't know how you can argue with the numbers. I mean, I know there's this human element, of our rights and our freedoms. But, I worked at Papa John's when I was in college, and I had to tuck my shirt in. I mean, did they infringe on my rights? I don't know.
I don't know. I think the difference is just it's what it's going into your body. I think that's the primary
But
difference.
you couldn't go to school, bro, without getting injected, though.
Oh, you're right about that. I mean,
Well-
you are. Which I mean, some people don't
Yeah.
do it now, I guess, but
Well, it's
Go ahead,
it's
Dawn.
under
It's always been a thing.
it's only Pfizer has the full FDA approval, and you got to remember, people who fight back about the FDA have every right to, because the FDA has also approved multiple medicines and multiple drugs that have indeed caused people to have cancers later on down the road. So you've got that, but people want data. Mandating it, the government has stepped in by saying they're going to mandate it, but they haven't been able to mandate it yet. It keeps getting pushed back. It's supposed to go September, then it was going to go October, then November, December. Now they're talking January because the Federal Appeals Court just put a stay on all these mandates to figure out, because people are pushing back. And Democrats, you've got Democrats that are going, you know what, we're kind of getting in trouble with this because we're losing employees. People are really like quitting. They're taking it. We got vaccinated first round. You all know that. I would probably vaccinate to keep my job, not so much to keep my job, but just because I don't want COVID, and I trust that. But when it comes to mandating it to people who truly have beliefs against it, we have to decide what kind of country we are and what kind of country we're supposed to be. When you're talking about chasing people down and giving them vaccines, and I'm not talking one vaccine, we've all watched this. We went from 1 to 2 to 3, and now they're looking at, in some countries, a 4th one, including this one for severely immunocompromised people. When does it stop? I mean, are you
Chetty, what do
willing
you
to
think
take a
about that?
vaccine?
No, so I mean, my biggest thing I would say about that, I mean, we talked about FDA and their record. Of course they've passed some drugs that have done harm. OxyContin. Dope Six on Netflix now talking about Purdue Farm and the effects it's had on this area, and they've not been perfect. FDA has not been perfect. But I'm going to tell you, it's way better than it was before the FDA came around, and they've got a pretty damn good record when it comes overall.
And so does pharmaceuticals in general.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure
we're
yes.
living longer because of pharmaceuticals.
Amen.
The problem is we have other options. These vaccines have other options. We have treatments that are being controlled by the government. We have Regeneron. We have all those monoclonal antibodies that has been politicized, and
Sure.
because DeSantis set up his clinics in Florida. This is how it looks. This is how perspective is. Because he set up those clinics in Florida, then here comes Biden and he grabs them. And now you have to meet you've got to check certain boxes before you get it. Let's unleash all of this stuff. Give people options. We know now that if you take monoclonal antibodies that you have more protection than the vaccine. The study just came out.
But the Regeneron thing, though, I'm going to push back on that because what Biden did was base the dosage that the state gets based on population, which makes absolutely all the sense in the world to me.
Right. Here's the thing.
So,
the government, we can produce. I know that Operation Warp Speed has been politicized too, but it helped. That's why we're here. We're able to talk about the vaccine.
So the production was great, but the logistics of it wasn't even handled at all. Like, we didn't even handle at all the logistics of getting it out.
Yeah, I was
manufacturing. So
I was just using that as far as being speedy. So if we have a treatment that we know works, why not speed up production with it? In all honesty, and let me tell you, the people who are taking
the government can't make private industry do things, Don. They only have so much they can make them do.
Well, we're making.
They're going to make them vaccinate vaccines. Yeah, they're going to make them do that.
Yeah. If they got a certain amount, you're right, they do.
How
many? So you want more mandates on private guys? Is that what you're saying right now, Jimmy?
It's about money to heal.
You want the government
to heal people? I will sign up for that. I would love to see the government pump out more treatments. I would love to see the government place more emphasis now that we have vaccines out. I would like for them to now shift and look at making treatments. We've got this Pfizer drug that's supposed to come out in January. It's a 90% reduction in severe illness. It's I think they call it a protease inhibitor. You know what else is? Ivermectin. They're different, but they're both inhibitors. Let's push these treatments out. Let's figure this out. Let's get Novavax out. Let me tell you, as soon as Novavax comes, I think we're all Novavax, cheerleaders. As soon as it comes, all of my family's switching. I'm getting everybody off of the messenger and I'm putting them on Novavax. And that's why Novavax isn't over here, because I'm not alone. Everybody will pick it.
Can I just say something? I've almost went all week without talking about COVID.
I know, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Don had to bring it up.
I had to bring it up. Well, it's a big topic with the mandates, and just for me, I think what both of you say, honestly, makes sense to me. Right? It's clear that the vaccine is helping. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's clear that it's helping. The part, but I agree with Don as well. Is I don't want any corporation to be mandated to do anything. But if you're going to mandate them to make people take a vaccination, then you should mandate them to produce the other things that can help us fight this, if that is truly the idea. The other part that bothers me is they do not take into account your natural immunity. Once you've had COVID, you have antibodies. Yeah. And those antibodies are just as good for the most part, are just as good as being vaccinated. Because you look at Florida, and everybody trashed Florida because their numbers went up, and then their numbers are down, and their vaccination rate went up some, but not like other places. Kentucky's went way up.
Actually, Florida did have a good vaccination rate because of seniors.
Yeah, because they have a lot of seniors there.
Yeah, they have a lot of seniors, so they had a good vaccination rate amongst their vulnerable, and then. He didn't know this, but when he opened up monoclonal antibodies, then lo and behold, everybody that got those antibodies are like super hybrid immune for several months afterward. Because they have they caught COVID, then they got the antibodies, and then they got, all these antibodies build up and regenerated from it. So,
I think you both make great points. I just, that's just the part to me that I don't like that part of it. I don't think they tell us the entire story. They don't want to talk about I've heard Fauci be asked multiple times about natural immunity, about these other treatments, and he won't even talk about it. And so that's the part. I don't know. It bothers me for whatever reason it does. I'm like, give us all the information, and if this is what you're trying, if you're trying to get rid of this, then do everything.
So I think the problem that I get with that, man, is I know Fauci probably punted on questions about natural immunity or herd immunity and all that stuff because he didn't want 3 million people to die before he got there.
Yeah,
I mean, he just did that 2 weeks ago, though. But he did that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but because he don't want more people in Florida to die, more people in New Orleans to die, or wherever at. He wants them to get the vaccine and be done with it. That's what he's focused on. And there are people trying to detract from that. So I get that, man. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I get why he said it at the beginning, yeah.
I get why he said it at the beginning. I don't get why he said it 2 weeks ago.
I don't get why anybody's listening to him now. Don't even listen to him now. So he had served his purpose. He served his purpose. He did good, whatever. Let's go on. Let's move from Fauci. Now we have enough information to look, and with our eyes should be wide open. We have options. We have other options. We don't have to just be in the Pfizer or just the Moderna camp. Let's bring out Novavax. Let's talk about natural antibodies. Let's encourage. Why aren't we talking about obesity? Why don't we talk about all of the things that puts us at high risk for severe illness? None of that has been mentioned. If the government cared any little bit about us, they would be telling us and educating us on every single thing that we needed to do in order to protect ourselves from COVID and in order to survive COVID in the event that we were to catch it. They do not. I still have friends that test positive for COVID and can't even get a doctor to see them face to face. Guys, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm done with this. Let's go to the next one.
Let's.
All right, so moving on.
I'm pulling the dawn. I'm bored.
I'm with you. I'm so bored.
Jay says I'm bored.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about something fun. I know JD will like this one.
Okay.
So, especially while Trump was president, there was a movement specifically on Twitter and online called QAnon.
Is it QAnon? I thought it was QAnon.
Or QAnon, whatever you want to call it. QAnon, Q.
Q, yeah.
All right, so I followed Q pretty closely.
So, I'm going to tell my story, but you go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So I followed Q pretty closely as far as just to see, and there was a lot of stuff that came through that ended up being true. There was a lot. But one that I thought was ridiculous, and I have a conspiratorial mind, one that I thought was ridiculous was that JFK Jr. was going to come back and essentially lead the charge to free the people of the United States from this rule that we're under and all that. And a bunch of people believe this so much so, and JFK Jr. died in a plane crash, okay? Yep. So much so that they went to the place where his father was shot, and he was supposed to show up there, and the revolution was to begin. And I'm not trying to make fun of these people.
I am,
but it's a good example of the extreme right, and we've got an extreme left. Both sides have this extreme. And that's pretty extreme. So, JD, the floor is yours.
So, I can't believe this is real life that we're having this discussion. Like, people think. So, man, I want to take this differently. So, when I was a kid, I always thought that all adults were smart. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I really did. I was like, oh, man, the adults, everybody's got it figured out. I can't wait to become an adult. Everybody's got it, That shit is not the way it goes.
No.
At all. We had people fly to Dallas, Texas because they thought that JFK Jr. was coming back and going to set up some circle of whatever and make Donald Trump this supreme leader or whatever. And people thought this was real, bro.
They really thought it was real.
I mean, you don't spend that kind of money on a plane ticket and do all this, get hotel rooms, if you think it's a joke. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I might go just for sport, just to see who would actually go to this.
There weren't 50 people there.
No, there were thousands.
There were thousands of people there. And so explain to me what has happened, bro? What So I'm going to tell my Q story first, though, before we get to that part. So we started this podcast, and it was me, Brad, and Jimmy. And we was recording with one mic in my living room every evening. And one day, after the podcast, we talked. Me and Brad argued about this as a conspiracy theory, and Jimmy and I was like, "Oh, Brad, yeah, this is conspiracy theory, and this, that, and other." And then they turned off. It was like, "Bro, have you ever heard of Q?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, what is Q?" And it was like, "Oh man, you got to find out about Q, this, that, and Q." And Q went way off the deep end, bro. I don't know what happened. I don't know the story about with Q, but man, we got to do something about these people who believe anything just because that's what they want to. Like, is that what it is, you think? Is it just confirmation?
That's part of it. Like, it was interesting. And the thing is when it originally began, a lot of the stuff that they said happened. Mm-hmm. Like, it happened. They were predicting these things, and it would occur. And it was like, okay, there's something to this, and it was interesting to follow. Mm-hmm. There was also the part of it that was very extreme, like the JFK Jr. stuff. That was talked about in the QAnon
That's
stuff.
Conspiracy theories, though, right? Like,
yeah. And so
you're going to stumble across a couple that are real because the government ain't batting 1,000.
No, and it was so much so. Like, I'm not an idiot by any means, and I absolutely followed it because it was interesting. And it was, I am one of those people that I don't believe in the Democrats or the Republicans. Right. I think they're all a bunch of criminals. And it was something, I mean, I truly do. I think they're all a bunch of criminals. I think they're in it together. Mm-hmm. I think that, they have a split up between these two parties. That's how they keep us split up. That's how they keep us arguing, and that's how they keep control. And that's truly what I think. I do not think that Joe Biden is the president. I think there's big money behind. He's the president by name, but there's big money behind him that controls everything that goes on. I saw it happen with Ronald Reagan. There's a famous video of a guy, Ronald Reagan, essentially asking for permission to do something. He's the president of the free world. He shouldn't have to ask permission from a Wall Street guy to do anything. Right. That's the part. I believe that, like with every fiber in me. I believe that. I believe we live in some form of the Matrix.
I don't believe that about Joe Biden. But I do believe that about Ronald Reagan.
No, I believe it about Joe Biden. 100%. I believe it about Trump.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think all of them are controlled by interest groups. You got to think there are 3 lobbyists to every politician in Washington. That's a lot.
So I'm going to show my ignorance here, maybe my naivety a little bit, but I actually just think Joe Biden is actually a really good dude. Like, he grew up as the blue collar guy, lost his wife and kids early in his life, and I think he really wants to just serve the people, man. I really do.
No, I think he's 100% being controlled by somebody. Yeah. And there's a guy that sits beside him in a lot of these things that tells him what to do. I was trying to find that guy's name because I thought we might talk about this. But no, that is 100% what I believe. And so the QAnon thing was interesting because it really kind of dove into a lot of that, my base belief. Now, there was a lot of ridiculousness to it as well. Like I said, the JFK Jr. thing, I had somebody tell me that was somebody that's not really Q. That's 100% Q. Because I read it on the Q, when you, I read it there. Right. So that's how I even know about it.
Well, I think they're trying to say there's 2 different Qs though. Like,
there's
a Q,
and then there's one that's splintered off. Yeah, that's more extreme. And that's true. So, but no, like I really I think that it's because Don and I like to point out the extreme left with the AOCs and all those things. But this is a really extreme version of the right.
But the problem is,
pointed out.
But the thing is, like, you got somebody in the Senate who is a Q believer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Republican from Georgia. Is she from Georgia?
No.
Where's she from? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Well, we have socialists
well, she's from
too.
The House.
So
sure. But I'm just saying, as far as the right wing goes, this is somebody who is really like hardcore believes in JFK coming back. It's crazy.
I don't know who you all know. I didn't hear about Q at all until maybe the end of middle of 2020. I don't know if I lived with my head in the sand or what, or I just don't know people who were that in that little group. And then the biggest time that I heard about it was, of course, the Capitol thing.
Right.
Mhm.
So I think he was big on Reddit. Like
It
started out
was
like a
Yeah,
Reddit.
Reddit. They had their own stream. Like you could Google Q, and like you could go and read it
Right.
like these
blogs or
8chan,
whatever.
I'm
8chan, I
not
think it was called.
I'm
Okay.
not that type of voter, so I'm not. None of my friends are. Like, I'm not an extreme by any means. Am I extreme left? I'm sure ain't extreme right. So I don't really. I guess my
4chan and
people
8chan,
weren't that. But when the Capitol thing happened, the Capitol riot thing, my Facebook was exposed. And lo and behold, I had tons of people who were Q followers that I never even had a clue that anybody was in that type of mindset. Like I said, I don't vote on if I think JFK is going to resurrect and infiltrate Trump's body and we're going to make him a gold statue. I even fought about Trump. You all know that. I pushed back on Trump and I voted for him. And I hope he doesn't run again. I want to win. I hope that we can move on from all that stuff. But when it comes to believing in these conspiracy theories, like Biden lost the election and we're going to do this, and I'm sure there was crookedness with the election, but you have to prove those types of things. I just don't want that kind of war. I'm more of the type of voter than what you've seen happen in Virginia. I'm more of a suburb voter. You're messing with my life so I can swing and vote against you or vote for you.
Well, let's talk about that, guys. As far as what the elections that happened last week, and Dawn and JD had a very interesting exchange on a text group that we had, and I thought we got to talk about this because it was. You heard Joe Biden and Kamala Harris both say, what happens in Virginia will determine what happens in the next several elections. Joe Biden said that, and so did Kamala Harris. And I'm sure a part of that was a rallying cry to the Democrats to get out and vote because that race was close in Virginia. But there is truth to that because I went back and looked, and statistically speaking, that there's truth to that. If you see a swing in Virginia, then it does point to a swing in the overall what you're going to see happen in the federal races. Sure. And you had the guy because Virginia went for Biden pretty strongly. Their governor was a Democrat. He got beat. And I think it was more, in my personal opinion, I think he pissed off the women in that community, the moms. I think he pissed them off. And I think they came out hard because people were messing with their kids and messing with their kids' education. And I think they came out hard. You had a much closer race. Was it New Jersey? I think you had a much closer race than what they predicted. The Democrats still won. But there were several races where they thought the Democrat was going to win, and they typically do, and they lost.
But that was the case New Jersey. Democrat doesn't typically win New Jersey back to back.
Yeah, so like that, you're right. Because actually, when you said that, I checked because I was like, "Is that right?" And JD's 100% right about that.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But it's completely against the point because every judgeship in Pennsylvania went red. Even the DNC, all the DNC commentators, all the DNC political scientists are reeling because they did not expect New Jersey to be a come behind at 1:00 in the morning with mail-in. They really thought that they would seal that up. But New Jersey, we didn't even expect it to be close. The Republicans didn't either. We honest to God, why would you
think that
was even going to be close? And it was squeaky close. They even put a truck. They put a truck driver in. A truck driver knocked out their Senate leader in the House up there. So, and he ran his campaign with $150.
Yeah, no,
and
that's
in Virginia,
crazy.
Clean sweep. They flipped counties. They flipped the House. They got the lieutenant governorship. They got the governorship. This is a wake-up call for the Democrats. But the problem is the Democrats, like the Republicans, have all these split little sections within them. You've got AOC that says that the reason why the Democrats did so poorly with this election cycle was because they didn't go left enough. And then you've got the moderates going, no, the reason why we did so poorly was because we went too left and we let you have too much of a mic and too much. If you notice, she's not in the media as much now that Biden's took over. They're trying to hush all that stuff down. So I think it's a rosy outlook for the Republicans in the midterms 2022. It was already, because that's generally how it ebbs and flows.
Sure.
But now it really is. And all we can do, for me, I'm going to speak for myself, all I can do is sit here and hope that we pick somebody that can help try to bridge some things and see if we can get our country up to where we're not, mandating and cutting people out if they ain't got vaccines and canceling and fighting all the time.
So I want to say two things. One, I need to go back. I don't think Biden's being controlled. I think I said that earlier. And I don't think Trump was being controlled. I think that Trump was an egomaniac, and I think he's way too big of an egomaniac to be controlled. And I think Biden is just a good dude, and he just wants to do what's best, what he thinks is best for the country.
Politicians are completely controlled. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's what's it's based.
He's the president. He don't have to be controlled. So anyway, this election that happened this past week, New Jersey. I think it's a big deal for Democrats. It's something you haven't done in 40-some years, over 4 decades. You won a governor race that you didn't. If you win that governor race expecting to win, after not winning that way in 40-some years, then maybe.
Well, the thing is, though, JD, they were expecting to win big. They expected to win big.
So are we believing polls now or not? Because I can't keep up.
Honestly,
are we believing polls?
I'm talking to Jimmy Don just for a second. Let him believe it. And I'll tell you why. This helps us. If they don't want to see what swing voters and independents and moderates are telling them in the polls, then let them believe it. And it'll be a bloodbath come 2022. But JD, honestly, I'm on your team on this one. I'm going to let you know. When it comes to looking at both sides, if Democrats don't start talking to the working class, the people who are getting fired over these vaccines, and the people who are worried about gas, and they're worried about healthcare, and they're worried about electric bills and all these taxes coming at them, it's going to be a bloodbath. You guys have a decision to make. Either you're going to be commies and socialists, or you're going to be the Democrats that we remember. And the Republicans have a decision too.
I can't believe it took you 52 minutes to get to socialism. Call socialist.
Well, you missed it. I said socialism 15 minutes ago.
Oh man, okay, I missed it then. So the Democratic being called socialist is such. They've been being called socialist since 1912, I think, or something like this. So that argument is just like, would you come up with something different? Because it's getting old. And
I can say
what?
Colin,
I understand.
I understand
that people don't. I understand that people are mad. The working class is mad at the Democrats. The unemployment rate's almost. It's under 5% now, and the industrial, what do we call it, Jimmy Don? Stock market.
Yeah,
setting records. It's terrible. Things are tough right now. I don't know. I know that's because Jimmy Don got on this podcast and said, "What's wrong with Trump? Unemployment's low. The stock market's doing good. What's wrong with him?" And I'm going to put that question back to you. What's wrong with Biden? The stock market's doing good. Unemployment's low. So what's going on? Well, I don't understand.
So
and all of those are great. Those are great.
The stock market is good for the working class people. When the stock market is good, that is absolutely good for the working class people. It was good under Trump, and that's good under Biden, and that's fantastic because it helps the working class people in their 401ks and those things. But that part of it I'm good with.
Okay.
I'm still pushed back on you on the unemployment rate. People aren't working, dog. People are not working.
They just added more jobs than they expected in the month of October.
Dude, people aren't working.
We're adding jobs. What do you
JD, go drive around. If you drive around and you talk to people who actually own businesses, people ain't working. Okay. And that's a fact, dude. People are not working. Now,
I'm just telling you that the unemployment rate is under 5%. That's all I'm telling you.
No. And kudos to Biden on that. Like I said, I want my president, no matter who it is, to be successful. Here's the problem. I don't give two shits how high that stock market is. I'm spending tons of money on gas. I'm spending tons of money on groceries, tons of money on everything. That's where people are getting mad. That's where Democrats... Honestly, you all can make the stock market.
I'm asking for consistency from Jimmy Don that he says that the unemployment rate's low, the stock market's good. What more do you want? So, and now there's something else to it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm asking for consistency from you because you argued against that
when we talked about it with Trump. You're throwing it in my face here, but you did the exact same thing when Trump was president. So you be consistent.
I am being consistent because Trump.
No, you're not. I will go back and find it. I got all of them taped, brother. You argued with me about the whole thing.
No. So what I always pushed back on Trump against was what, Jimmy? Was it ever about his economic policies? Did I one time push back against his economic policies? Name one.
I can't recall. Maybe once.
Exactly. No, I can't think of one time. Every time the unemployment rate come out, it's like, this is awesome, good. I'm glad the stock market's high. I'm glad the unemployment rate's good. And now you should be doing the same thing with Biden when he's in office. And you should say, hey, our president's doing a good job. That's all I'm asking for.
Well, here's the thing, though, JD.
That was your criteria, not mine. That was yours.
Sorry, bro. You did the same thing. I just asked for consistency from you. You did the exact same thing.
I've been consistent on everything because the only time I ever pushed back on Trump is when he was calling foreign leaders and asking them to interfere with our elections. Or when he was, personally
you
doing.
need to go back and listen to the podcast, JD.
Huh?
You need to go back and listen to the podcast.
Do it.
No, 100%. I'll go find it. So here's the other thing. What you say, unemployment rate being good is great, right? On paper, that looks great. 401k, the stock market being good, that's great.
Right.
But Dawn's point in what she's saying and what Knox said here is right. Things cost a lot right now.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
They cost a lot right now.
People are making a higher wage now. The median income has went up too.
And they make less money.
No.
Grasp that for a second.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
They have less disposable income than they had, and they're making more money.
Right.
So that's Biden's fault?
So,
He's the president.
Yeah,
so everything's his fault then.
Yeah, like we discussed
Yeah,
last
everything's
Sunday.
Trump's fault, so everything's Biden's fault.
Everything's his fault. Okay. This will be cold in the morning too. Let's make call the White House.
But I mean, seriously, that's how it is. If you're the CEO of a company and your employees aren't happy and they're not getting full paychecks or they're not getting benefits, it's the CEO's fault. That's how the president is. Once you're the head of things, and that's how it is. There's a lot of things we haven't touched on. We didn't touch on the climate meeting that they all flew on little private jets to. There's tons of news that we're going to have to catch up on. The dossier, we didn't touch on that. All this stuff we're going to have to touch at some point on these podcasts because y'all are leaving it and we're going to have to argue about it. Instead, y'all are arguing about Trump.
When this great resignation, like when this finally you stop seeing these for higher signs on it, I want you all to make sure you give the credit to the right person.
We will, because they're going to vote all the Democrats out, and then it'll fix itself.
Yeah. Yeah, that $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill we just got passed, that ain't going to help out at all. I understand what you're saying. The 24 million or 250 million people that will be putting to work, that's probably just all Republicans.
It boils down to, it seems like the voters that went to the polls this past cycle, this off-year cycle, they went to the polls not worried about Democrat or Republican. They went to the polls over what are you teaching my kid in school? How much am I paying for gas? All these mandates and people getting threatened to be fired from their jobs and so forth and so on. The Democrat Party needs to reassess themselves before 2022 comes around, or it's going to be a bloodbath.
We'll see. I mean, that's the way it usually works, right? Like,
it's like
one party,
anyway.
One party wins the White House and the House, or it wins the majority. Usually midterm, it flips.
Yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't have to be like when Obama went in, and then it was a big. I'm arguing with you. You don't want to lose so many that it takes you several election cycles to catch back up. I mean, I'm be happy if y'all lose everything, but not really, because I want checks and balances. You need both sides. You need each other to argue and to debate each other and to figure this out, because you want everybody to have a say. That's how we're set up. So that's why people push back on these mandates. You're getting one guy that gets a say on what we are doing about something. And that
I want to comment up, Jimmy. Though.
Which one?
I got it.
Okay.
Yet the price of everything is increasing. Bro, that's how business works. That's private industry. Inflation goes up where the people get more. If you don't pay your employee no more on dollar on an hour, guess what happens? The price still goes up. Inflation happens, Dewey, period. No matter who's the president. Am I wrong or not?
Yeah. I think you are.
It all goes up.
So
It all goes up. Inflation is real. Inflation's real.
Right.
Hyperinflation is the government's fault. What's occurring right now is the government's fault. Inflation happens. Pardon me?
Go ahead. You said something inflation was not real.
Hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is what we're in right now. You're seeing this extreme. I mean, it's so extreme. The price difference now between and fact of the matter is, you used to say this all the time, Trump's the president, it's on him.
Sure.
Biden is the president. You're seeing hyperinflation right now. Everything has gone up crazy. I mean, it's crazy. And that's why, like we deal with the water district, people talk about the rates going up. Part of that stress is coming from everything else is so expensive they can't afford to do anything.
Absolutely.
And that is, and I told you this, I'll give Biden time because there is a supply and demand problem right now, or a supply chain problem. Sure. And so there's demand, not a lot of supply, prices go up. That's why prices go up, JD. It's supply and demand.
Yeah, it's capitalism. Yeah.
Yeah, it's supply and demand. So as far as you're always going to have CPI, that's the Consumer Price Index. There's always an increase in the cost to build things. There's always an increase, all that. But it's generally like less than 2% a year on whatever it is. Right now, it's like 150%. And that's the problem. And that's what I'm telling you is people, and Don's right, the Democrat, if something doesn't change, can the Democrats rewrite this? Can Biden rewrite this 100%? If we can get things back in control, they can rewrite it. But Don's also right that their messaging is bad. I listened to Van Jones say it the other night. I like to go over and muse at the CNN people and the MSNBC people when they start freaking out because the Democrats lost. But Van Jones said something very smart. He said, Democrats have a messaging problem. JD, a lot of the Democrat...
I agree with you. I agree.
A lot of the Democrat policies are good for people of Eastern Kentucky where we live.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But we don't necessarily see it that way because Democrat messaging is bad.
I think we don't see it that way because the two issues they always vote on is abortion and guns, and that's it. And everything else doesn't.
And you may be right about that too, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are big ones.
Yeah. So yeah, all right, guys, we've hit our hour. You got anything else you want to add? Anything else we want to try to discuss? Don's mad at us because we started fighting about Trump.
Well, we missed the Steele dossier. That was a big one. But I'll tell you a big story. JD brought it up and reminded me. Travis Scott's Astro World.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be a big story. We're going to have to cover that at some point. It's just
what exactly happened with that, JD?
Okay, Dewey. I'm just saying that's the way the world works, bro. These companies are going to continue to make record profits. You can't blame. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't make companies not make money. Sorry, go ahead, Don. Travis Scott. Travis Scott was crazy. He was doing a concert he's a rapper. Mm-hmm. He was doing a concert in Houston, Texas, where the Houston Astros used to play. I think it was called like a Astro Fest or Astro World or something, Astro World Festival. And a bunch of people got killed, man, apparently they was just like rushing the stage, trying to get up to, and people were actually suffocated to death and died from the crowd pressed them so hard.
Was it the Who, like back in the day? Didn't that happen with the Who?
The Who? Yeah.
Yeah, like back in the day, like in Cincinnati that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The outcry with this one is, I don't know if you guys have seen some of the videos, but the outrage with this one is that some of the consumers, some of the people who were there, they ran up to like the cameramen and stuff like that. And they were saying, hey, people are dying, people's dead. They were trying to get help. When the ambulances came through the crowd was jumping on top of the ambulances and dancing and, not wanting the show to be interrupted. And they were yelling at people and telling them to hush and just let the show go on. Then you have Travis Scott, who was told he was interrupted. So they had two people come on stage. They interrupted him, and who knows what they said to him. He chose to go on, then get on a pedestal, like some type of like floating thing, I don't know, to where you could look down on the crowd. Yeah. And they were doing chest compressions in multiple places on young kids. So first and foremost, crowd control obviously was poor. Second, you have some responsibility. Travis Scott does a lot because he's been arrested before for inciting mobs mob mentality in 2015 in Texas. If you'll watch some of his videos, he'll go, F this, F that. Like when they were calling for the EMS, he's going, F it. And everybody threw up their middle fingers.
Yeah. So somebody probably died because of him.
Yeah, so he had better get a good lawyer. 8 people died.
Yeah.
Had several people go to the hospital because when you're crushed, you suffocate and everything freaks out. And then you have cardiac arrest. Before you have cardiac arrest, you typically have chest pain. So these are young people who lost their lives just going to. Yeah. And then you compare them to what you did, Jimmy Don. You went to a festival. You were in a crowd. You compare them to these other artists. And then there's been videos be shared of Linkin Park and a video of A$AP Rocky. So they were on stage and they saw women in particular falling. They stopped singing and they were like, stop, bro, pick her up. Right. And they were saying, now everybody calm down, back up, everybody give some space. Travis Scott does the opposite, does the complete opposite. So it's going to blow up on him.
So I actually went to, I don't know if you guys ever heard of X Fest, which is in Huntington, West Virginia.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
And Candlebox was there. You remember Candlebox?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The far behind,
Yeah, love that.
So this was like 98, like it was back in the day.
Yeah.
But people were through it, like they had a little mosh pit in the front. It was at Ritter Park. They have an amphitheater up there. It's a killer place for a concert, by the way. It's awesome. And the Candlebox was on stage. Well, people kept throwing beer bottles into the mosh pit. Like glass beer bottles. Like cutting people down and shit. And a dude, like they kept on announcing, don't throw beer bottles into the mosh pit. So dude throws a beer bottle into the mosh pit in the middle of Candlebox's set, and he stops the whole concert. He goes, hey, you get the blank out of here. Everybody turn around and give you a big F you, and we all turn around, F you. And he kicked him right out of the concert, man, right there. And this Travis Parker guy, apparently, Don, from what I understand, like they were passing bodies that were like passed out or unconscious or dead. Yeah. They were like body surfing them. And he just kept right on, just like
he kept going. He did not stop. Like
that's crazy.
Now, if there's somebody that deserves cancel culture to go after them, it's this, because you have video evidence. This isn't people making things up, is it?
It's okay to do that, Don. As long as you don't talk bad about the gay people.
You can actually see people begging. I mean, they're doing chest compressions, and Travis Scott ain't probably 15 feet up in the air above them, looking down, continuing to rap. That's egregious. That's not crazy. Looking out for your fans at all. Reagan told me one of her friends from Los Angeles texted her and said, hey, I've got a ticket to some type of festival in Las Vegas. First words out of my mouth was, you go out there, you spend your own money, you do your own tickets, you do everything. Because, we have an agreement. As long as you're in college, then you're still on payroll here, right? We still take care of things. But if you start going into dangerous environments, have at it. You're paying for everything to do that.
Yeah, I think that's the right thing. So
crowds
you put Knox's comment up there. I want to answer Knox's comment.
Yeah, well, I want you to answer. That's why I put it up there.
So I don't think anybody that knows Dave Chappelle's politics would call him right. And I don't. So the problem is he's just not far enough. He's not far enough. Like so, and does cancel culture go after the left? Yeah, David Chappelle is left. He just doesn't agree far enough for him, right? But the same thing happens on the other side of the aisle. We've done talked about it. We beat the horse to death. We've canceled, the right wanted to cancel Harry Potter, and they burned his book, the books, and it's cancel culture's always been around forever.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, like I said, I think cancel culture in general is just BS. Period.
And it's always been a thing.
Oh, Lisa brought up a good topic.
I want to talk about this actually. I know we're running late, man.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
So this Colin Kaepernick, have you seen this new commercial?
I don't think so.
So Colin Kaepernick has now got a thing out. It's like I guess it's just, what's the commercial? I don't even know. But it's got all these black guys like stretching out and being measured for football. And he's equating professional sports with slavery.
Oh, yeah, I seen that. I didn't see it.
May be the dumbest comparison of all time, because these guys get paid millions of dollars to get. Yeah. And white guys are involved, black guys are involved, Latino guys are involved. Everybody's involved, bro. And you've tried out 6 times to try to be a slave. If you ain't a slave, bro, get over yourself. That's stop. Colin Kaepernick, bro. I'm with you on the flag thing. If you wanna protest and sit down there or kneel during the flag, I'm with you, bro. Do it. I'm not with you on this one. We're going to have to just disagree on this one. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I've seen that. No, the last time that I checked, slaves didn't volunteer to be slaves. I don't know anybody that's being forced to play in the NFL and they're getting millions of dollars. Yeah, I read a little bit about that. There's a big pushback on it, as there should be. The thing is, we don't talk about Colin now because he's going so far with this race thing that he's canceling himself out. Because at first, I'm in agreement with JD. Not that I agree with kneeling during the anthem, but I'm in agreement that sentiment, and his right is in a good place. But then he wants more and more and more attention, and he's one of the people that wants to divide us. Based on race is how it's coming across, and that hurt him. I agree, JD, because he did. He equated it to slavery.
Yeah, when people with common sense are going to be like, bro, that's not you too far. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that he's going to get too much kickback on that. But that's not going to be a good move for you, bro.
Yeah, and I don't really. Do you feel like Colin Kaepernick got canceled? I mean, because he got a big Nike deal right after that. Millions of dollars. I don't feel like he ever actually got canceled.
No, he didn't get canceled. No, but I'm saying he's hurting himself. He's going to end up canceling himself because his appeal is going to drop.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Because you're right. That's going a little far.
The people like me who
that's right.
Hey, we ain't worried about Rip, bro. I'm Rip.
For the people listening, Todd just put up Yellowstone starts in 45 minutes. Yeah, so he's
I have him
wrap it up. Well. That was a nice way to say wrap it up.
Yeah, he's needing Don to finish up, but we got Yellowstone to watch tonight.
Well. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just saying that like you can only go so far. I'm not going to go with you so far. Like that's it. I'm only going to go so far with you.
Good deal. Good. I like it. That's a good place to end it. That's a good place to end it tonight. So we appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us this Sunday evening. We will be back here next Sunday at 6 o'clock. In the meantime, make sure you follow us on our social media.
I gotta go
see all the cool stuff. See all the cool stuff that Don and JD are posting on there. All the good debate and the discussion that's going on. A lot like what you'll see on the show. JD and I both will try to be more consistent going forward, and we will try not to argue about Trump, Don. So we will try to move forward and not argue about Trump, and we will both try to be a little more consistent in our arguments. So make sure you check us out if you're looking. Yeah, if you're looking for the podcast, you can find us on Podbean, iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, all the places that you can find podcasts. You can find the Just Add Bourbon podcast. Make sure you go check us out, share, tell your friends, do all the things. JD likes to dance. Look at that. That's where we're at. That's a white man dancing right there.
I got no room, bro.
As we always end our show, from myself, from JD, and from Don, no matter how bad your week's been, and no matter how bad your day's going, if you just add bourbon, it always gets a little bit better. We'll see you guys next week.